don't forget Ukraine. It may be easy to do in the world that we are in and the chaos that's been spread, but do not forget Ukraine. This is Law and Society. Please subscribe. There is some news about some countries like Belgium saying that they want to normalize ties with Russia. We also have Donald Trump that is lifting the sanctions on Russian oil, allowing Russia to bring in billions of dollars in revenue that will allow them to keep their meat grinding factory going as they invade Ukraine. So, no, you cannot normalize Russian ties because that is going to help Russia invade Ukraine and keep killing civilians. And that's not something that we want. Today, Ukraine is the shining example of a democracy that is trying and has for 4 years kept this behemoth at bay and kept its democracy going. So much so that Ukraine can come out and now offer help to the United States on drone technology that Donald Trump says he does not want. Because he's upset with Ukraine and with Zelensky. For what? I don't know. Maybe it had to do with the elections in 2016 or 2020 or whatever it was. Donald Trump does not really care that much about Ukraine or Zelensky. And this fight in Iran is benefiting Russia because we are now taking our attention away from Ukraine and focusing on the operations in Iran and in the Middle East because it has such a big fallout because we don't have, other reserves of oil, and Iran, that Strait of Hormuz and the other strait west of it account for about 25% of the world's oil distribution. And the movement of oil happens through these two straits. And that's 25% of the global supply of oil. And when that goes away and the United States lifts sanctions on Russian oil, it benefits Russia. It gives Russia more money so that it can keep fighting and invading Ukraine. Ukraine is still fighting for its autonomy. We should respect that. We should help them to keep their autonomy. We should follow the international order, a rule-based order, where we fight on behalf of democracies and on behalf of countries that have been invaded, whose sovereignties have been violated. And Ukraine stands to this day. It still stands, and it's still fighting. Thousands and thousands of Ukrainian civilians have been killed by Putin's missiles into civilian areas, into cities. They are not targeted towards military operations. They are targeting everybody. But Ukraine still stands. Every day, civilians are dying in Ukraine, but Ukraine still stands. And we must not abandon it. Because if we abandon Ukraine, we are abandoning the democratic principles that hold democratic countries and democracy around the world together. It is, if we abandon Ukraine, we are saying that democracy isn't all that important, that might does make right, that war is peace. And we cannot go down to that level of falsity, of that level of duplicity, where war is not peace. War is not peace. It is not peace. Might is right is not always right. And we as citizens of the world who care about autonomy of our countries, who care about democracy, who care about individual rights, to stand up and say that no, what is happening in Ukraine must stop today. It can't go on any longer. Instead of trying to normalize ties with Russia and give Russia more money so it can keep its invasion of Ukraine going. We can't abandon Ukraine. Doing so would be a betrayal of all democratic principles that we as Americans hold dear, and so do so many other countries in the world. And so, Belgium, please think again. And I would tell Donald Trump to think again and help Ukraine, but that ain't gonna go anywhere. I mean, who am I? But America should be on Ukraine's side very clearly. And it should welcome Ukraine's help instead of being a pouty baby that Donald Trump is and using personal vendetta to get in the way of bringing in technology that can help us with the Iran war. I mean, it's not really a popular war, but despite that, Ukraine is offering help to the United States as a thank you for all the help that the United States provided Ukraine. But Donald Trump's ego just won't allow it. And that's where we are with Ukraine. So I leave you with this. If Ukraine falls to Russia, then democracy itself will be threatened around the world. And Ukraine must not fall. We must never consider abandoning Ukraine, because Ukraine is the shining example of democracy that we have today, where we defend our sovereignty. That's what Ukraine is showing in a very real way. Thank you for listening. Stay with Ukraine. Keep up to date on the news of what happens with that country, because that country is special and that country is worth defending. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon.